We grow up believing soulmates are about perfect matches, someone who completes us, comforts us, and always makes us feel loved. Movies, books, and stories feed us the idea that when you meet the one, everything becomes peaceful, easy, and magical. But what if that idea is actually a distraction from a much deeper truth? What if soulmates aren't here to bring you comfort, but transformation? Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, had a radically different view of soulmates. To Jung, soulmates were not about fantasy. They were sacred mirrors sent into your life to reflect the parts of you that you've ignored, denied, or buried. They come not just to love you, but to awaken you, to disturb you in all the right ways, to trigger the healing of your deepest wounds. Jung believed that true connection often doesn't come wrapped in peace. It comes with fire, and that fire has a purpose. A real soulmate doesn't always make you feel safe or understood at first. Instead, they expose the parts of you that need attention, the shadows, the patterns, the pain. Jung's concept of the anima and animus, the inner feminine men and the inner masculine in women, explains why we are drawn so powerfully to certain people. It's not random, it's a pull from your unconscious mind toward wholeness. That connection you can't shake, that person you can't forget. They might not be your forever, but they were meant to awaken something in you that no one else could. This kind of soulmate experience is more than a love story. It's a soul story. It's about your growth, your healing, and your journey to becoming whole. These relationships stretch us, break us open, and show us the hidden pieces of our inner world. Whether your soulmate stayed or left, loved you or hurt you, the real question is, what did they reveal about you? Jung teaches us to stop chasing comfort and start paying attention to the deeper meaning behind our relationships. Soulmates are not always easy to recognize, but they are always unforgettable. They mark us because they come from a sacred place inside us. Their role is not to complete you, but to help you meet yourself. When we imagine love, we think of warmth, safety, and connection. But the kind of love Carl Jung spoke about isn't always soft. Soulmates, in his view, are often the ones who bring discomfort before peace. They don't just support your growth, they demand it. When you meet a soulmate, you might feel an instant pull, but what follows isn't always easy. They challenge your beliefs, they awaken old wounds, they reflect the exact qualities you try to hide from the world and from yourself. You might feel triggered, confused, or even afraid. But these emotions aren't signs of something wrong. They're signs that your soul is waking up. Soulmates help you meet your shadow, the hidden part of your personality that carries your fears, shame, and insecurities. Jung taught that we can only grow by becoming aware of what lies beneath our surface, and there's no better way to meet your shadow than through a deep, soul-level connection. The soulmate enters your life, not just to love you, but to reveal you to yourself. Maybe you thought you were over your past until they touched a buried pain. Maybe you believed you were confident until they reflected back your insecurities. Whatever they trigger in you, it isn't by accident, it's an invitation to heal. Their presence holds up a spiritual mirror that forces you to look at the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. This isn't punishment, it's purpose. It's the path to becoming whole. And yet so many people walk away from these relationships too soon. They feel the discomfort and think it means the love isn't real. But what if the discomfort is the sign that it's real, on a deeper level? Soulmates aren't here to validate you. They're here to grow you. They show up to challenge the false identities you've built and push you toward your authentic self. That's why these connections feel both beautiful and overwhelming. They stir your soul because they touch the rawest parts of who you are. And when you allow yourself to face those parts, transformation begins. Jung's message is clear. Your soulmate doesn't fix you. They free you from the person you were pretending to be. Carl Jung believed that within every person lives a hidden counterpart, the anima in men and the animus in women. These aren't just gendered ideas, they're symbolic forces representing the inner feminine and masculine energies we all carry. And guess what? Your soulmate often embodies this inner energy that you've neglected or rejected. That's why the attraction can feel magnetic, even mystical. It's not just physical chemistry, it's the unconscious mind recognizing itself in another. Your soulmate often mirrors the exact energy you need to integrate in order to feel whole. They stir emotions and desires that were buried. They activate your inner world and remind you of something ancient, something eternal. This isn't just romance, it's the soul's attempt to restore balance between what's seen and what's hidden. These internal forces, anima and animus, shape how we connect with others. A man may project his inner feminine onto a woman, falling in love not with her, but with the reflection of his own unlived emotional depth. Likewise, a woman may project her inner masculine onto a man, seeing strength or clarity she longs to awaken within herself. Jung warned that without awareness, we confuse these projections for destiny. But the real gift of a soulmate is when the projection fades and the lesson remains, when you stop seeing the other as the missing piece and realize you were always the key. The soulmate just showed you where to look. That's when love becomes liberation. So, if you've ever met someone who felt like home and chaos all at once, someone who stirred your passion, but also your pain, understand this. They were never random. They arrived to awaken you to what's been asleep inside. They reflect back the love, power, creativity, or vulnerability that lives within your soul, waiting to be claimed. The journey of love, according to Jung, is the journey of integration. To embrace the parts of yourself that you once projected outward. And that's the higher purpose of a soulmate, not to rescue you, but to reunite you with yourself. The real union isn't between two people, it's the sacred marriage within your soul. It's easy to think love should feel good all the time. But Carl Jung taught us that real growth often comes wrapped in pain. The soulmate experience isn't meant to be smooth, it's meant to be transformative. Many of these soul-level connections are what spiritual teachers call soul contracts. Before we ever entered this life, our souls agreed to meet certain people who would help us awaken, evolve, and remember who we really are. That's why some relationships feel fated, intense, and unforgettable. It's not about how long they stay, it's about what they awaken inside you. The pain they trigger isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Their presence pushes you to break cycles, to heal generational wounds, and to finally step into your truth. They came not to complete your story, but to change its direction. These relationships often feel like a paradox. You love them deeply, yet they expose your deepest wounds. You feel drawn to them, yet somehow you're also torn apart by the lessons they bring. It can be confusing, even heartbreaking. But Jung reminds us this tension is necessary. It's the pressure that causes the false self to crack, so the real you can emerge. A soulmate might not be your lifelong partner, but they are a part of your soul's sacred journey. They bring lessons no one else could teach, and sometimes the hardest part of the journey is accepting that their role was only for a season, not a lifetime. But that season left you wiser, stronger, and closer to your authentic self. So, if you're still healing from a soulmate connection or wondering why it had to end, look deeper. Ask yourself what it revealed about you, what it taught you to release, and how it pushed you closer to your purpose. Jung believed that these relationships were never about control or possession. They were about awakening. They were about helping you reclaim the lost parts of your psyche, to integrate the shadow, and to prepare you for something even greater. Love, in its highest form, is a force of transformation. And sometimes, The soul needs to be shattered before it can be whole. Many people ask, how do I know if someone is my soulmate? Jung wouldn't have pointed to fireworks or fairy tales. Instead, he would have asked, what did they awaken in you? A soulmate leaves a mark, not by what they give, but by what they reveal. You recognize them by the lesson they bring. Maybe they showed you your worth by rejecting you. Maybe they taught you to set boundaries by crossing them. Maybe they made you face abandonment so you could finally stop abandoning yourself. These lessons don't always feel like love in the moment, but they are sacred invitations to become more conscious, more powerful, and more whole. Soulmates are not about completing you. They're about reminding you that you were never broken in the first place. Jung's work shows us that love isn't always about comfort, it's about consciousness. And when we experience a deep connection that triggers us, it's often because that person reflects back the very parts of ourselves that are asking to be healed. They mirror both our wounds and our potential. That's the power of a soulmate. They don't just enter your life, they enter your psyche. They awaken dreams you didn't know you had. They expose truths you were too afraid to face. And they push you toward your next level of transformation. Some soulmates walk with us for years, others only for a moment. But their impact is timeless. So if you've crossed paths with someone who shook your world, know this: it wasn't by accident. It was your soul calling out for growth, and life answered. You were never meant to stay the same after meeting them. And while the world may teach you to look for love that calms, Jung teaches us to honor the love that challenges. Because it's in those sacred challenges that your soul remembers who it really is. And that, above all, is the purpose of a true soulmate, not to finish your story, but to ignite your becoming. If this message stirred something in your soul, let it be known. Tap like if you've ever felt a connection that changed you. Subscribe for more soul-deep wisdom. Comment Soul Mirror if you feel like you've met someone who reflected your inner truth.